Race week bike prep. What are we doing to our bike to make sure that it's in perfect condition or not going to give us any problems on race day?
We only get one life. We only get one life. Let's live it up. We only get one life. We only get one life like this. We only get one life. We only get one life like this.
Race week bike prep. What are we doing to our bike to make sure that it's in perfect condition or not going to give us any problems on race day? So we're at the point where we don't have any more outdoor rides for this bike anyway. This bike is not going to be ridden until we get to the race site this weekend, do a little warm up, rack the bike, and go to race day. So what are we looking to do real quick to get this bike prepared and just make sure that we have enough time in case we have to fix something? So it's Monday, the race is Sunday. I got a little bit of time today to take it apart. What I like to do is take the front wheel, the back wheel apart, just take them off the bike. This allows you to clean everything, inspect the frame, everything inside, the front fork, the rear, the chainstays, everything back here, make sure it's in good working order. Allows you also to visually see the entire drivetrain, and that's when we can start to really clean this. This bike wasn't too dirty to begin with because I like to clean it usually after every long bike ride. So we do kind of just a hand wash with a product that I have and just really get all the dirt out of the crevices. And then we can start to visually inspect the chain right here. We just want to make sure that there's no excessive wear on the chain, there's not too dirty. This was actually thoroughly cleaned a week ago. Then I actually applied a wax type coating on the chain. So I just have to wipe it down. I'm going to reapply a coat of wax for it to make sure it's perfect for this weekend. And just visually inspect, make sure there's no chips, there's nothing going on with any of the chain rings, front and back. And also a big thing is just all the nuts and bolts here. A lot of it's just Allen heads. It's nice to have a nice set of Allen keys. Something simple like this you can get. This is from like a Harbor Freight. Has every size you need right here. Basically, just take the size you need. Don't over tighten anything, but you'll be able to tell if something's loose. Last week, I actually had a piece on the seat post here that was coming loose. Good thing I found it pre-ride because it can vibrate off. And depending where and how you're going to transport your bike to race day, this is on the back of the car and you're traveling for quite a few hours and you did have a loose bolt and all of a sudden you realize or don't realize before race day that it did fall off and went missing. The last thing you want is to sit on your bike that day and the seat go down because one of the bolts was missing right here. As well, if you have hydration systems or setups on the back, just kind of give them a shake, a twist. This sometimes over time comes loose, so I have to retighten them. Flat tire kit. It's good to maybe, if you haven't had to use it in a while, thankfully, open it up, go through it, make sure the tube that's in there is still in good shape, make sure you have the proper tools in here, and then go to the front, go to the cockpit up front. It's good to clean off all that sugary drink mix that's caked up on in here. Really just give it a thorough cleaning for race day. I feel like how you treat your bike is how it's going to treat you on race day. And it's just nice to know front to back that you're all good. You've visually seen and kind of touched everything on the bike to know that there's hopefully going to be no surprises that morning or that day before when you go rack your bike. As far as the wheels go, give them a nice cleaning, get the spokes, just clean everything off, by hand with a rag, and then visually look at your tires. There's wear indicators on here. You can see how worn they are. Run your fingers over them after you wipe them clean. See if there's any glass or shells if you ride down by the beach on those type of paths. Make sure there's no punctures. Make sure they're still holding air pretty well. And then on the rear tire, you do have your cassette in the back. It's good to finally see this cassette, really get a deep clean in there. I have some gear floss, or you can use an old t-shirt to get in between on those. And it's nice just to have this as clean as possible and make sure there's no rocks, there's no excess dirt or sand caked in around the cassette there. And you'll be good to go. Do the same thing with the rear tire on this. Just go over it with your hands, make sure nothing is too out of whack or nothing's punctured. Again, should still be holding air pretty well. Tip for air pressure, especially if you're racking your bike the night before a race on a half iron or full Ironman. Take a little bit of pressure out of your tires the night before. Don't really fill them up too high, especially with the summertime. It's been very hot. And if your bike's going to sit out there a while, tires can pop overnight or the next morning if you inflate them when it's cool out at night. and then air expands in the morning. It's always good, pump your tires up the morning of the race. It's something I like to do just to make sure that within an hour or two coming out of the swim, they're going to be at the perfect pressure for what you want that day. A couple little tips on things along the way. This is why I talk about that journey, the process, how to learn along the way. There's a few things you might notice on here that I added to the bike or learned over not having issues, but things that have happened out there on the bike course. When I put my bottles in up top, I have these stretchy cords that actually loop around the top of the water bottle. That's because in a race that I did, I actually hit a very large bump in the road, and both of these water bottles, like jetpacks, came flying out, and I lost my nutrition for half the course. Thankfully, I was able to pick them up on the second loop of that course and have the fuel that I train with and ready to go. But it's just something I added after that, and it's a habit I always have now. It's just I've never, knock on wood, lost a bottle with this system now, the way that this is strapped in there. And as well, you'll notice there's a little bit of tape on the box back here because this box does open this way, but during a long training ride last year, this actually opened up on a large bump as well, and I lost everything that was in my flat tire kit. So by putting just a little strip of electrical tape on both sides here with a little tab so it's easy to pull off in case you need to change your tire, this is yet to open now on its own since I did that. Remember, if you have Di2 electronic shifting, give it a good charge the week of the race, even if you had just charged it a couple weeks ago. If you have power meters, swap the batteries out. Mine actually just notified me about a week ago that I had to change them, but I would have been changing them this week because it was the first real big race of the year for me. And then that's it. Again, look at it, clean it, make sure you're happy with it. If there's any issues, make sure you do it early enough in the week so you can go to the shop and get something looked at or fixed if need be. And if you're throwing this on the back of your car to go to a race site, the only tip I really have for you is just be careful of the weather as you're going up. One of the races I went to a couple years ago, it rained the entire way for about 6 hours on the trip there. Once I got there, thankfully I had my stand and I was able to take the bike apart again. But actually in the wheels were full almost of water inside. I had to take the tires and tubes out, drain the inside of these carbon wheels and get all that water out. Thankfully I was able to do that the day before the race, or if I wouldn't have checked, I would have had all that water sloshing around. Hopefully it would have came out at some point during the bike ride, but just think about all that extra resistance you would have had. If you spent so much time getting your chain and your drivetrain cleaned, and you are going to keep this on the back of your car going up, whether it's water, sand, whatever it is, you know, you don't want to get this all caked upon for hours of driving. So they do sell some things out there. Thank you to a friend that I was able to get this from a little while ago. It's actually a drivetrain cover. It'll actually slip on even with the wheel on, and it'll zipper up over the drivetrain. So you spent all that time cleaning everything on the back end of the bike, and it's good to just protect it on your way up to the race. If you have anything else you think, tips, tricks, or anything that people should be wary about or look after on your bikes, throw it down on the comments wherever this video is posted. Let each other know, some tips and tricks that you have. And that's it. Hopefully you got something out of the video. If you're prepping the bike yourself, cool, good for you. If you go to a shop to get it done, awesome. As long as you're doing something, especially when it's a race that you're really looking forward to make sure that this right here, treat it kind of like your race car in a race. You want to make sure that check the tire pressure, do everything you would do to that as you would for your bike. Really keep this in good shape, and hopefully it'll keep you in good shape on race day. So thanks for tuning in. Have fun out there. Stay safe, stay healthy, balance that life 1 mile at a time, and have a great race day.